So, like a labyrinth and a maze, are they like the same thing? Can you get lost doing this, or is it?
It can get confusing, but it is not a maze. The difference between a labyrinth and a maze is that a labyrinth has only one path. So where a maze has choices, a maze has decisions you need to make. Do I go right or do I go left? And you could hit a dead end or continue and find your way to the centre. A labyrinth, there's no choices to be made. The only choice to make is, do I enter the labyrinth or not? And then it's just following one foot after the other and taking that journey through the labyrinth. There's no choices to be made. It's more like a right hand brain sort of exercise in that way, where a maze sort of engages more the left brain, because you've got to make decisions and choices and think about things. So that's the difference, no choices.
So it sounds like a bit of a walking meditation type thing. You're sort of following the path and listening to the music and the drums and getting very zen.
Definitely, that's why we call it doing it for Peace Day.
Oh, right.
So you feel all peaceful while you're doing it.
So where did this idea of labyrinths sort of come from? I know the Greek legends. Is that where it comes from?
Yeah, well, that's some of the earliest stories, the Greek, and you said you're quite fond of minotaurs. I don't know how.
Oh, they're so cute. I mean, and Medusa, like a lady with snakes on her head and stuff like that, that turns you to stone,
Yes, yeah, lovely people. So it does go back quite old, and that mythology in Greek and of the Minotaur and all of that sort of jazz, that was back in like Crete, and in Knossos they have found coins that from 400 BC that have that labyrinth design on them, but there's many variations they're found in Egypt, Italy, and in Native America as well. There's, like I said, there's many different designs, but there's what they call a classical design or a 7-course seed design of the labyrinth, and this is also found in the Native American culture, which in that way they say back to the 17th century, but in Russia on the Slavitsky Islands there have been preserved more than 30 stone labyrinths that date back to 2,000 to 3,000 years old. So pretty much they're quite ancient. They're found all over the world, whether they're made out of stones or they're carved into a cave wall or they're on the coins. They've popped up everywhere.
Oh, wow, that's interesting. So were they used in the same way you were using it, or what were they used
for? Well, one doesn't really know, do they? I mean, 2,000 to 3,000 years ago, who really knows? One suggestion is that they may have symbolised a border between this world and the underworld, and that the labyrinth may have been used for specific rituals, like to help souls of the dead travel to the other side, to the other world. On another extreme, another hypothesis has been that it is a model for complex fishing equipment. So I mean, that one to the other, isn't it? Like, So I can tell you though that nowadays they are an ancient symbol that relates to wholeness. It combines the imagery of the circle and it combines the imagery of the spiral and into a meandering but purposeful path. So as I said earlier, the labyrinth represents a journey to our own centre and back again out into the world. So in that way, a meditation.
Oh, so it's a bit like a as you say, like a metaphor for life's journey. So walking the labyrinth is like walking through life. And it sounds like the ancients did that. I know spirals and circles were pretty big back then because of continuity and things never ending and beginning. So it sounds like it's going to be a pretty awesome day.
Yeah, I think it starts in the evening when we're doing the Peace Labyrinth. It'll be a sunset event, you could say. The labyrinth we've built out home here in Mareeba, we've built it from stones. So traditionally they used, I can't remember now. It was like 260 stones, and it was supposed to be whatever the number is of the amount of days of gestation of a human child before it was born. So about 9 months, however many days that is, was usually how many stones were used. So my intention was to create this labyrinth with all these stones, except I made it way too big. So I don't even know how many stones are in there. So that's got blown out to have the correct amount of stones. Although yesterday Rob just got the bulldozer and got some really big, massive stones to put all around the outside. So it's going to be quite spectacular when it's finished. Yeah.
All right, so where'd you get all these stones from? Like, have you had slaves digging up the stones like they used to do in Egypt, pushing them along in rollers and stuff?
Pretty much. I had a birthday party and I invited my friends to come up and help me build it. So many hands make light work. So, yeah, there was quite a few trailer loads we did that day, but it still wasn't enough because I made it way too big. And, so here we go. We're still just finishing it off for next week's piece, Labyrinth.
All right, so instead of 260 stones, you've got about 26,000 stones, and you've been out there cracking the whip and all that.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't quite know how many, but what I do find interesting is because it's out in the horse paddock, Dave.
Yeah.
So the horses walk in it, and so you know what happens with horses? They just seem to do their droppings wherever. So you can be walking in the labyrinth and you come across a big pile of horse poo. And like we said, it's symbolic of the journey through life, yeah? So sometimes you get, as you're walking through life and on your journey, you get faced with a pile of poo, don't you?
Yeah.
So I think it's quite funny. But we will be, shoveling them out on the day. But
you'll be shoveling some of the poop out, but you might lose a bit of surprise so people can get that true metaphor experience.
Exactly. Exactly.
And of course, shit makes things grow, so that's
right. It's good fertiliser.
Yeah.
That's right, indeed. So, and that's a good, way to look at the hard times we have in our life, using it as fuel to further our growth.
Yeah. Okay. So, politically correct, I should say poo, I suppose. But anyway, thanks for that, Renee. Coming up next, we'll be talking more, Renee. So stay tuned to Cairns FM 89.1.